There are stories that live in whispers, passed down from one frightened student to another in the dead of the night. Some call them myths, others swear they are real. But in every boarding school across Nigeria, one name is feared above all others: Madam Koi Koi. They say she was once a woman of elegance, her presence commanding and her beauty undeniable. She had a voice like dripping honey and a smile that could warm the heart of even the most troubled student. But more than anything, it was her red heels that made her unforgettable. Every step she took echoed through the corridors. Kai, 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 Kai. A sound both enchanting and unsettling. Madam Koi Koi was a teacher in Hopefield Academy, a prestigious girls' boarding school in Ibadan. She was known for her strict discipline, but beneath her no-nonsense demeanor was a woman who genuinely cared for her students. She taught English literature, and when she read aloud from Things Fall Apart or The Lion and the Jewel, her voice carried through the classroom like a melody. Yet for all her grace, there were whispers. Some students claimed she was too proud, that she loved attention a little too much. Others said she was vain, obsessed with her appearance. But none of that mattered, because every girl at Hopefield Academy knew one thing: when Madame Koi Koi walked by, heads turned, and her red heels clicked like a heartbeat against the tiled floors. But something changed. One day, without warning, Madame Koi Koi was dismissed from her job. The students never knew the full story, only that there had been a scandal. Some said she had been accused of hitting a student too harshly. Others whispered that a senior staff member had framed her out of jealousy. The truth? Lost in time. What was known, however, was that she did not leave quietly. On the day she was fired, Madame Koi Koi stormed out of the school gates, her heels pounding the ground like thunder. Koi, 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 Koi. Each step carried her rage, each click echoed her humiliation. The last words she spoke before vanishing into the night still sent chills down spine. "You will all regret this. I will be back, and when I return, I will make sure you hear me coming." Days later, news spread like wildfire. Madame Koi Koi had died in an accident. Some said she was hit by a car while crossing the highway in a blind rage. Others swore she had taken her own life, unable to bear the shame. But one thing was certain: her body was never found. And then the nightmares began. At first, it was just a rumor, students claiming they heard footsteps in the hallway at night. But soon, the tales turned into screams. Some girls swore they saw a woman in blood-red dress gliding through the dormitories, her heels clicking against the floor even though she never seemed to walk. Kai, 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 Kai. Some tried to say it was a joke, that it was just a story, but then students started disappearing. And that was when the legend truly began. Madame Koi Koi had returned. She was not just a memory anymore, she was a curse, and she was coming. There was something about the air that night, thick and unsettling, watching. A cool harmattan breeze whistled through the rusting trees of Hopefield Academy. The dormitories were silent except for the occasional shuffle of restless students turning in their bunks. Then at exactly 2:13 a.m., the sound came. Kai, 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 Kai. At first, Bola thought she was dreaming. She was a JS3 student, fresh into boarding life, still adjusting to the eerie noises that filled the night. Rats scurrying, trees tapping against the windows, the faint chatter of night guards outside the school compound, but this sound was different. The sharp click of heels echoed down the corridor, slow and deliberate. Kai, 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 Kai. Bola's heart pounded in her chest. She squeezed her blanket, willing herself to stay still. Then she heard it again, closer. This time, she knew she was not dreaming. A bunk above her creaked as Titi, her senior, turned in her sleep. Bola wanted to wake her, to whisper, "Did you hear that?" But fear held her tongue. The footsteps stopped outside the dormitory door. A chilling silence followed. Then, crack, the door creaked open. A wave of ice spread through Bola's vein. She squeezed her eyes shut, praying it was just the matron doing her usual late-night rounds. But deep in her gut, she knew it wasn't the matron. The air inside the room shifted. The presence was inside now. For a long time, nothing happened. Then a sound, a voice. "Who is awake?" The voice was smooth, almost melodic, yet it carried something dark, something that did not belong in the world of the living. Nobody answered. Then Bola heard the sound of heels clicking the floor, moving slowly towards the bunks. Kai, 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 Kai. The air smelled different now, a mix of old perfume and something rotten. Bola clenched her teeth, pressing herself deeper into her mattress, praying. The footsteps stopped right beside her bed. She could feel a presence towering over her, watching. Then, a hand brushed her blanket. Bola bit her lips so hard she tasted blood. The silence stretched. Then the footsteps continued, moving away, going to another bunk. There was a shift in the room, a soft rustling. And then, a blood-curdling scream tore through the dormitory. Bola sat up, her eyes darting to the far end of the room. Titi's bed was empty. The blanket was on the floor and the window wide open. The next morning, Titi was gone. The school authorities searched the entire compound, the surrounding bushes, even the nearby streets. There was no sign of her. Not a single footprint, nothing. And then, as if to mark them, something was found. A single red shoe. Not Titi's, not anybody's. A red heel. Madame Koi Koi's. The principal, a short firm woman named Mrs. Adeyemi, ordered the students to remain calm. She insisted Titi had simply run away, but nobody believed her, because every student in Hopefield Academy knew if you heard the clicking of the heels, it was already too late. The sun rose over Hopefield Academy, but there was no warmth in it. The school felt different, hollow, tensed, afraid. Titi was gone. The teachers said she had run away. The school matron told the students not to spread unnecessary rumors, but the students knew better. Everyone did. Titi was the third girl to disappear in 3 months. First, it was Amaka from Green House, then Chisom from Blue House, and now Titi from Yellow House. Each time it was the same, a scream in the middle of the night, an empty bed by morning, and a single red shoe left behind. The older students whispered about it, but the juniors, they were terrified. In dormitory 4, Bola sat with her best friend Sade as they folded their uniforms. The chatter of other girls surrounded them, but their minds were elsewhere. "I heard from Senior BC that Madame Koi Koi used to teach in this school," Sade whispered, her eyes darting around. Bola's hand froze mid-fold. "You mean here?" Sade nodded. "Yes," said her spirit never left. Bola shivered. She had never believed the stories before, but last night she heard the footsteps. She wasn't sure why she hadn't told anyone. Maybe she was too scared. Maybe she didn't want to believe it herself. That night, she made a decision. She needed answers, and she knew exactly who to ask. 9:45 p.m. The school was quiet. Lights out had passed, and the matron had locked all dormitory doors. But Bola wasn't in bed. She was standing in front of room 17, the old storage room, the only place in the school nobody went near. It had been locked for years. Some said it was where Madame Koiko used to keep her books and personal belongings. Others claimed it was where she had been fired. Bola's heart pounded as she placed her hands on the rusty doorknob. It turned. The door was unlocked. She swallowed hard and stepped inside. Dust filled the air. Wooden desks and broken chairs were stacked against the walls. Old exam papers littered the floor. And then she saw it. An old staff photograph lying on a forgotten desk. The glass frame was cracked, the edge brown with age. Bola wiped away the dust, her fingers shaking. The picture showed a group of teachers from many years ago, all dressed in neat formal wear, smiling at the camera. But her eyes locked onto one woman in particular, tall, beautiful, proud, and on her feet a pair of bright red heels. Madame Koikoi. But something was wrong. The woman's face, it was scratched out. Deep violent lines ran across where her eyes and mouth should have been, as though someone had clawed at the photo in blind rage. Bola's breath hitched. She turned to leave, but the door slammed shut. The room was plunged into darkness. Then the silence, she heard it. Kai, 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 Kai. The sound was inside the room with her. The room was silent, but the air was thick with something unseen, something watching. Bola pressed her back against the cold wall, her heart beat loud in her ears. Then, Kai, 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 Kai. The clicking of heels echoed across the room, slow and deliberate. Bola clamped a hand over her mouth, biting back a scream. She was not alone. The darkness felt alive. Something was moving, a faint rustling, a shift in the air. Then, a whisper. Who is there? A voice was soft, almost gentle, but wrong. Bola squeezed her eyes shut. This is not happening. This is not happening. The footsteps stopped. Silence. Then, a hand brushed against her shoulders. She bolted. Blindly, she scrambled towards the door, yanking, pulling, praying, but it wouldn't budge. Then, a faint glow flickered in the corner of the room. A mirror. And in the reflection, she saw it. A woman in blood-red dress. Her face was obscured by darkness. Those bright hues gleamed in the dim light. Bola turned slowly. Nothing. The room was empty, but the mirror still showed the woman standing right behind her. Then, the reflection moved. The woman tilted her head slowly as if studying Bola. Then her lips curled into a wide, unnatural smile. You see me now? Bola screamed. She fell backward, knocking over a stack of old desks. Papers flew everywhere, the mirror shattered, and in that instant, the door burst open. Light flooded the room. Bola! She gasped, her chest heaving, as Sade and Senior Bisi stood at the doorway, eyes wide with fear. Shade rushed to her, grabbing her shoulders. "What are you doing here?" Bola couldn't speak. She turned back to the mirror. It was gone. Only broken shards remained on the floor. But in one of the shards, just for a moment, she saw something, a reflection, the red heels. And then they disappeared. Back in the dormitory, Bola sat on her bed, still shaking. "What did you see in that room?" Shade whispered. Bola hesitated. "She was there," she finally said. "I saw her." Shade paled. Senior BC sighed. "I told you girls to stop talking about this nonsense." But then, as if to mock them, a sound drifted through the room. A sound that did not belong. Kai, 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 Kai. All three girls froze. The sound was coming from outside, slow, deliberate, moving towards them. The footsteps echoed through the corridor outside the dormitory. Kai, 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 Kai. Slow, deliberate, unforgiving. Bola, Shade and Senior BC clung to each other, their breath shallow. Maybe it's just matron," Shade whispered, but even she didn't believe it. Then a knock, soft, gentle, and then another. Bang, bang, bang. The door shook under the force. Someone or something was outside, and it wandered in. BC, the oldest amongst them, whispered harshly, "Nobody move, nobody make a sound." The air in the room felt suffocating. The other girls in the dormitory were all awake now, holding on to their blankets, eyes wide with fear. Another knock, then a voice. "Open the door." The whisper was smooth, like silk unraveling in the night, but beneath it was something rotten, something wrong. No one moved. Then the handle turned. Click. Bola's stomach dropped. The door was unlocked. Someone had forgotten to lock the door. The girls stared at each other, realization sinking in. If she turned the handle again, she would be inside. "Do something," Shade mouthed desperately. Senior BC's eyes darted around. Then suddenly, she grasped a torch from under the pillow and switched it on, flashing it at the door. Light flooded the room. The knocking stopped. The handle froze. A deep, chilling silence followed. Then, the footsteps moved away, slowly. Kai, 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 Kai. The sound faded down the hallway, disappearing into the night. For a long time, nobody spoke. Then BC exhaled. "We have to do something," she said. "Like what?" Bola's voice was hoarse. BC's face was grim. "There's a way to keep her away, a ritual, but we need to act fast." Shade's eyes widened. "Ritual? As in juju?" BC shook her head. "Not juju, it's just an old protection method, something the older students used to do, but it's dangerous." Bola swallowed. "What do we have to do?" BC took a deep breath. "At midnight, we light a candle. We sit in a circle and say her name 3 times. But we have to do it together or it won't work." Shade frowned. "Say her name? Won't that call her instead of stopping her?" BC nodded. "That's the risk. But if we do it right, it should trap her for a while." Bola shivered. "And if we do it wrong?" BC looked away. "Then she will know exactly where we are." 11:57 p.m. The 3 girls sat on the floor, a single white candle flickering between them. The rest of the dormitory was asleep, or at least pretending to be. Outside, the wind howled against the windows. Shade shivered. Are you sure about this? No, BC admitted, but we have no choice. The candle's flame flickered wildly. Then, bang! The old school clock struck midnight. BC inhaled sharply. Okay, on three. She held out her hands. Bola and Shade gasped them tightly. 1, 2, 3. Together they whispered, Madam Koi Koi, Madam Koi Koi, Madam Koi Koi. The candle's flame went out. The room was plunged into darkness. For a moment nothing happened. Then I laughed, soft, mocking, and then Kai, 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 Kai. The footsteps were inside the room, and they were coming straight towards them.
Please subscribe to watch more of our videos. Thank you.